T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
That's right. We got it going. This is Sports and Other Stuff. Taxi tested tough in Alaska. Do you remember that? All right, here we go. Help, there's just too much NFL news, but here we go anyway. Breakdown of NFL primetime games, the vaccine plan, and get this, players can wear any number they want, almost. And in other news, Sam Houston State Bearkats, for some reason, cats is spelled with a K, they're national champs. But first, let's get started. Let's get started with this. The NFL schedule is out. Lots to break down. T-Dog, you wanted to take a shot at the primetime games. My only question, are those the ones that will feature Deion Sanders?
Post game on NFL.com on NFL if he's still there. I don't have the NFL channel anymore, so I don't know.
All right,
but
carry on.
There are these are the teams that the NFL feels are the creme de la creme. There's 10 teams that got 5 games, and I guess you could give a lot of credit to the new 17-game season to that. And they're kind of broken down in different factors. Mainly it comes down to Dallas, Steelers, Packers. Obviously, those are 3 of the biggest national, popularized teams. And then you have I put the Seahawks, Ravens, and Chiefs in there because of how exciting Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes are as quarterbacks. And then you have the new Sheen with Stafford under center and Cam Akers positioned as starting tailback to put the Rams. Defending champions, you got Brady with the Bucks because he's the most recognizable face in the league, which is understandable. The 2 that are interesting, though, to me are the 49ers, who can be exciting, but obviously, besides the 1 year they went to the Super Bowl, they've been pretty underwhelming. And the more fascinating one to me is the Saints. They have 5, and they have Jameis, and they have Taysom Hill. So I'll ask you all, do you like those teams, or do you think one of these teams should some of these teams shouldn't have 5 games or not?
No, I think the NFL knows what they're doing marketing-wise, I'm sure. It's just we all have our favorites.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Jaguars just because, I want to see those guys. They're so much touted. You got all the factors, Tebow, Meyer, obviously Lawrence, and Travis Etienne.
And Charlie Strong, too, man. Don't forget Charlie Strong.
Yeah. So, but overall, let's be honest, guys. We will watch the worst 2 teams in the league no matter what. And the NFL dominates. It's the savior for broadcast television, I'll be honest.
Well, Larry, you're in
Absolutely.
luck. The Jags do have 1 primetime game. So
Yeah, I know.
they have 1. So you but I was also going to say it's just fascinating to me that there are 10 teams that have 5, and then all the other groups are for the most part smaller. The ones that have 4 games are the Bills, Colts, Vikings, Bears, Raiders. How do you feel about any of those? Is there any you feel deserve that many, or are there any you feel that shouldn't be in that cut?
Raiders don't excite me at all. They've not done anything, and they don't have any players of note. They're a competent team, but they're not. And the Vikings, I got to question a little bit, but See, I'm interested in seeing the Bears. I want to see what they do with the quarterbacks. So,
Do you feel the same way, J-Boy?
You know, I was surprised. You're right. The Niners, going back to your first statement, they haven't been any good since, who was that guy? Bill Walsh? Is that about right? Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time.
Man.
40 years ago.
So I think that's an interesting one. You know, they're going for the big market teams. When you say Bills and who was the other one? Colts, kind of smaller markets, with smaller TV levels and viewing audiences, don't get as much. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think with the Bills again, I kind of surprised they didn't take the place of the Saints, just because again, you just look at what Josh Allen did and like how just essentially unstoppable Stephon Diggs was when he was healthy last year. I just feel like they deserve to be in that 5 instead of 4. Colts I get because I'm intrigued with what Frank Reich can do with Wentz, and then you look at the running back field, the Jason Taylor, Marlon Mack's back there with Nyheim Hines.
Good.
Vikings, Dalvin Cook, I mean, is probably one of, if not the most electric running back in the league when he gets going.
And then you got Jefferson on the outside.
Yes, and then I agree with Lugs. Like Fields is the main reason the Bears even crept into 4, and obviously they're a large market, but still. And I agree with him. Raiders, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So here's the 3 games. There's 7 teams. I'll just throw them out. Who deserves as many, deserves more, or deserves less? Patriots, Giants, Browns, Chargers, Titans, Washington football team, Cardinals.
If I were Xing out somebody out, I'd X out the Titans right off the bat. I like the Washington football team just because the defense and what they could do offensively with the new pieces they have. But Titans, I don't care about, and the Patriots, I really don't care about. There's the Cam factor that's something for me to watch, but overall, I just don't think they're a strong team either. They should be stronger than they were last year, and hopefully Cam has got out of his COVID fog or whatever.
Well, and I think any team west of the Rockies, we struggle with that here in the Eastern time zone. I don't think we care a whole lot about the Raiders because they play, you know, if they're going to play for the Eastern time zone, it's crazy. I don't think the Cardinals is another one. We don't see them that often. We don't really care to see them that often. So I'd say those 2 right there, they can take a back seat for me.
See, I got to agree with you all on the Titans for the most part in that, look, Henry is possibly the best running back in the league, but they lost their offensive coordinator. To think they can replicate it like 3 years in a row, like being that dominant running attack, seems highly unlikely. The defense wasn't that good. They have brought in some pieces, but I don't know how it'll be good. I agree with Lugs too on Washington football team. You look at their wide receivers. You have Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuels, and then De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver from UNC, will be electric if he gets to be in the three receiver. And then the 2 teams, the 1 team I understand why they didn't get more because they have no fan base. They just don't. The Chargers don't have a fan base.
Nope.
But Justin Herbert was like one of the most fascinating quarterbacks to watch last year, and considering how bad his offensive line was, and then their defense has 2 like freaks in Bosa and Derwin James, and I just feel like they're going to be a fun team. I understand why. The 1 team I feel should have got more based on what they did last year is the Browns. I mean, the Browns are full of talent and personalities.
Coach of the year.
I don't know. I felt and I agree with J-Boy at Cardinals. Look, Kyler is kind of fun to watch, but that I know I turn back my statement on Cliff Kingsbury. I go back to I do a 360 again. He's no good. He's a bum.
A 360. Wait a minute. That's a wait. No, 180 times.
I know. I did a 180. No, that's what I'm saying. I did a 180, and I apologized to him at the end of the first year. Now I'm doing a 360. I was right. Okay.
And now Geometry 101. Here it is. Breaking it down is Lugs.
420 next week or whatever.
And now simplify this equation. A quadratic whatever. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's only 2 teams with 2 primetime, and it's the same thing. They have no faith in the quarterback. I think the NFL. It's Miami Dolphins and the Eagles. So
Eagles taking a back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
Well,
the Saints came into favor. This may sound weird, but after the hurricane, the uptick on the Saints, and then they won the Super Bowl thereafter, whatever. They seem to be have a national following that's bigger than I think.
Yeah. I guess people just like to go to New Orleans and say they go to Superdome so they could just have
a hurricane. That's right.
Yeah, have some beignets. Did you think either of those teams should have more games or even less games?
well, they got to give them a little. They got to throw them a bone, right, to keep them in the league. I would say, but again, it's not an excitement factor for me, depending on who their opponent is.
Well, that's the thing. I think the Dolphins are that weird team where obviously they're a very talented team. I just like obviously Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, two of their corners are two of the tops in the leagues. But I just think, corners for the most part don't generate a lot of buzz. No. So it's like they're a good team, but like until Tua like really steps up, or if he does ever step up, I just don't think anybody cares, even though they're a good team. Where Eagles, I think, could be a dumpster fire next year. And I think they should have less games, to be honest with you. They've been kind of a dumpster fire the last 2 years.
Without any prep work, if we tried real hard, we might be able to come up with 10 defensive backs we think would draw. And I'm talking about over the last 5 years. Troy Polamalu.
Polamalu.
But can you name 10 in recent memory you say, hey, I'm going to watch that game because of that guy?
Yeah.
Be hard to do.
You're right. And then the last group it's not shocking. They're all rebuilding. Lions are starting to rebuild. Jets are in, I guess, year 2. Jags are in their first year of rebuild. Bengals are in, I guess, the third. Panthers, Falcons, Broncos, and absolutely dead last, the Texans, which are an absolute tire fire. And they will contend what Lug said, that we'll watch anything. That Houston Texans team, you look at that roster, there's some talent on there, but God bless them. They're going to be so awful to watch.
Oh, they got no consistency, and the whole Watson thing is just, it throws a wrench in everything. I mean, it just does. And that's just wild. That until he, made all the noise about wanting to be traded, nobody said anything, and then all of a sudden, people are coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
So,
Lugs, I got a question for you. Are you going to watch the Jaguars for which of these two reasons? 1, to watch Trevor Lawrence, or 2, to watch Urban Meyer have chest pain? What'll it be for you?
Well, I think he's already working on that. He's already hyperventilating into a bag.
I mean, the coach already left 2 jobs, right, because of health reasons? What is going on?
And this whole having to manage Trevor Lawrence and no hits and
how about that?
And he only has 40 throws per practice or whatever the number was.
Yep.
I get it, I guess. I mean, they've got a lot of money or whatever prestige invested in him, but that's kind of crazy because when they play somebody with a good defense,
whoops,
those boys are just going to say, come here, baby, bam.
Yep.
Welcome to the NFL.
Amen to that.
They've already sort of put a target on his back.
I'm back to that original thought I had. He may not work out this year. I don't know. Let's just see.
I think that might have been very prophetic. When the more I thought about it, I think, you know what? He's got a good point. Like the Tim Tebow. I'll ask you all, who do you think has more success at tight end this year? Tim Tebow or Kelvin Benjamin, who's been out of the league since 2018. So it's not like a 9-year sabbatical. So like he's a little more fresh. But who lasts longer on an NFL roster?
I think Gronk is the answer to that question, isn't it? Neither one of those guys. Man, come on. What do you think, Lugs?
I have a soft spot for Tebow. I always thought he got a raw deal. He should have gotten a shot. But the fact is, I don't know that he'll be there for the first game. He may be there for a couple of preseason games.
Here's the deal. He's going to be not even come out at first. He'll still be